It's been a few months, but we're finally back, Tyson. We got our first Thursday night football game of the year, and it's a good one. We got Patrick Mahomes taking on Lamar Jackson, or I guess the Chiefs taking on the Ravens. But we do have one challenge this season. I'm going to try and get through these shows without cussing. I've made it to the opening part so far, so let's do the intro.
Good luck with that. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, we're back. Another season. I feel like it's been a long time, but it went by quick. I don't know if that makes sense. But week one, Ravens and Chiefs, first showdown slate here. This is going to be good. Ellie. So rematch of the AFC Championship last year. That was a pretty close game. The Ravens kind of, they didn't look too great. I will say that. And the Chiefs weren't looking too hot later in the season either. They stepped it up, got to the Super Bowl, won back-to-back. They're going for the three-peat here. So, hey, let's talk about this, man. Let's just jump into this. Let's look at the lines here. We got our usual show. Try to make this a little bit quicker. We're recording this on Wednesday night around 9 p.m., so if any news comes out, you guys know to check on that. Let me pull this up. So we've got a 47 total. Chiefs at home, -3. What are you thinking about this game overall? I mean, dude, I feel like the Ravens... I'm rooting for the Ravens. I feel like the Ravens are going to come out and win this one. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I do think the Chiefs probably end up winning this one. Just they're getting. Do they get their Super Bowl rings tomorrow night before? Like they have a ceremony like the NBA does, like a first home game.
I don't know if it's the rings, but right. They get. I don't know if they put the banner up or there's something going on.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. I don't care anymore. Let's just run it back. Look, I think this is probably a Chiefs victory. Here's the one thing that I think we got to keep in mind for a lot of this is. We saw a little bit of Pat Mahomes in the preseason. Did we see any Lamar Jackson? This is going to be kind of a warm up game for both these teams, and frankly, like as a potential AFC Championship game, like it's week one. I don't know if we're going to get too deep into our bags as far as offense playbook goes. So. This could be very much I want to see how many times Baltimore runs the ball. We could see them not pass for like the first half. I don't know. You got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, like just RPO the whole way down the field.
Exactly. And look, this is week one. This is game one. We only got 3 preseason games at this point. And I'm sure we'll lose another one in the next year or two or whatever that is. But it feels like to start the year. Over the last couple seasons, it's just been a little sloppy. It's a 47 total. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing hits the under. That's just me. I know we have 2 amazing offenses here. We've got 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. And, just on paper, you're like, all right, let's start jamming in all these offenses. Like, I think a lot of the field is going to go heavy scoring. And I think we could mix in a little bit of defense every now and then, and maybe a kicker here and there, and maybe try to go against the grain and get some different game scripts with maybe this game hitting the under. I'm not going to do a ton of that, but I will have some exposure to that for sure. So let's look at the weather here. It looks like it could rain. This is the night before. Who knows? I don't think it's going to affect much. But like I said, if for some reason this is a rain type game or some rain on and off where the field is wet, you see... game one, some sloppy play. You never know what could happen. They could run the ball more. Just keep an eye on this weather. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. You see it's, around 4 p.m. You're getting a little spike potentially, but that could change. So just keep an eye on that. Let's look at some of these, week one. I'm not going to get too deep into this matchup. We kind of all know what to expect here. It's going to be a good game. But I do want to get into some of these props to kind of see what the books are looking at as far as who's going to score potentially, anytime touchdown scores. It's interesting, dude. I see Carson Steele on this list at plus 400 anytime touchdown. Obviously, you got Pacheco up there at the top. You get Derrick Henry. Does anything jump out to you? You got a little Xavier Worthy at plus 180. I like to look at this because I'm like, what stands out to me is I'm seeing Rashad Bateman up there. I'm seeing Carson Steele up there. Those are guys that are kind of maybe jumping out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so first off, if you're in a state that has legalized sports betting and these are the odds that you see for an anytime touchdown, don't do it. Don't do it. This is pure theft, plain and simple. Plus 400 odds for Carson Steele touchdown in a professional football
Yeah,
game
exactly.
is absolutely ridiculous. But that said, I do like his DraftKings price of $200, right? So it doesn't necessarily take away from his viability in fantasy. But yeah, I think Xavier Worthy having the same touchdown odds as Mark Andrews is kind of interesting to me. I don't know if that means Mark Andrews is underrated in this aspect, but I definitely feel like he's got pretty good touchdown outside.
And, we'll talk a lot about Xavier Worthy here. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what his ownership comes in at. He's not projecting massively high right now, which surprises me, especially at captain. I mean, spoiler alert, getting the fastest guy in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes in a lineup together, putting one at captain, I feel like that's just a good option, but maybe everybody else feels that way too. I mean, comment down below. It seems pretty obvious, especially with his price. Throwing him at captain is a pretty good option, considering one play and it can break the slate. All right, let's get into our injuries here. There's really not a lot to talk about, thankfully. Where is it at? There it is.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
All right, so Hollywood Brown is out. We've got CEH is out. I believe he's on PUP. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks, I believe. So that opens up. We'll talk about some guys here in the backfields that we, good value options with some decent upside. You got Rasheen Ali, backup running back guy for Baltimore, is doubtful, but there's really not any injury stuff to talk about here. But thoughts on Hollywood Brown being out for this game? It really kind of opens up the typical kind of, you got Rashee Rice, and then who else are we counting on? I mean, I think Xavier Worthy at this point is a pretty solid number 2 receiver. But we got a bunch of these dudes down there that we're still looking at, like, who the hell do we actually play? Are we playing Juju at 1,000? I mean, he had 900 something yards 2 years ago when he was with the Chiefs. They brought him back. I don't think he's going to be that impactful, but 10 fantasy points at $1,000 is kind of interesting. So what are we thinking here with this Hollywood Brown injury? What is your approach?
We also lost Kadarius Toney too, so not that there was much to lose in the first place, but I just think we're really going to see more passes funneled to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I don't see how Xavier Worthy's the guy that gets cut. He just I don't want to echo all the preseason buzz around this guy, but he just looks like a mini version of Tyreek Hill, right? Like he's just same small, fast, kind of streaky guy. And if him and Pat Mahomes can get on the same page, like I think that he's just priced too nicely to not take some stats on him, especially with Hollywood Brown being out, especially with no more Toney. I think you're right on with Juju. I think he's a little interesting just given how cheap he is, but I don't know, man. There's only so much you can do against Patrick Mahomes. He's going to throw the ball deep. You're going to get a couple of attempts like that a game, and there's not a person in the league that's as fast as Xavier Worthy. So I think that it just really makes some interesting plays for him. Which again, like you said, his ownership's not coming in that high, which is kind of surprising considering just how much hype he's getting.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll go up. What is he at right now? What are you seeing on SaberSim?
They got 22%.
Yeah, like 5% captain? I think that number is going to go up, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people may not be certain that they got about 4% on captain ownership.
Yeah.
I think that people may not be certain how much run he's going to get. But this is DFS, like especially with a streaky guy, right? Too, we talked about it all season last year. You got a guy who can catch the ball twice for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that is significant. Now PPR always adds up, but I don't know, man. He should probably be closer to 5% in captain, maybe 6, and then probably 35% on.
All right, man. Let's get into this breakdown. We're gonna get right into this. We're gonna go position by position. Throw us a like. Subscribe on your way in. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers, and let's do this. Break it down. All right, breaking it down. I lost my video graphic. So this is what we're with. So we'll start with quarterbacks here. Lamar Jackson at 11.4K, Patrick Mahomes at 10.4K. So I feel like both of these guys, even though they're expensive, I feel like they're priced pretty low compared to what we usually see them at. I mean, typically we're doing these showdown shows, and any Lamar Jackson slate, he's going to be over 12K. There's a lot of dudes we want to get in lineups, so it's nice that they're a little bit cheaper. But what are we thinking here with Lamar at $1,000 more than Patrick Mahomes at this point? I know he's got the rushing upside. We see the projection pretty close there, but in theory, we're probably going to get a lot more Patrick Mahomes if we're just running regular optimizer and just click and go because of that projection. We're here in Saber Sim here. It's going to be a little bit smarter than that. But what are we doing with these quarterbacks? I tend to probably not going to play a lot of Patrick Mahomes at captain. I think his ownership's coming in right around 20% at captain. This being week 1, I'm just gonna maybe be under the field with Patrick Mahomes captain. Maybe I'll do a couple single entries with him at captain and kind of fade in GPPs. But I see no reason to not target Lamar Jackson, as well as getting both these guys in the flex together. I'm not setting any rules or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of let it roll. But what's your strategy here with both of these quarterbacks that we really want to play, obviously? But you played this slate 100,000 times. How many times does a guy like Patrick Mahomes not even make the optimal?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think both these guys are solid plays. I think Patrick Mahomes is probably a better flex than he is a captain. The one thing I will say to kind of counter that though is just because it's week 1, I think the pricing is just more balanced across the slate. So we may not get Patrick Mahomes on a showdown slate at 10-4 again, or Lamar Jackson at 11-4, right? The next time we see him, it could be 12-5. It could be for Lamar. Patrick Mahomes, if he's having one of his MVP seasons, he could easily be 12.5, right? So I think because the pricing is like that, you may be willing to consider a few more, but a few more shots with maybe Patrick Mahomes at captain. But again, he is projected to be the highest owned captain coming in. So 20% of the field is going to play him. I think if you have a unique lineup that you really like with him at captain, I think it's fine. But just don't run anything chalky. It's going to be duplicated like crazy. That said, Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's only projected to be the 3rd highest owned. I get it. It's because of his price, but I honestly think that we could see them rush the ball 25, 30 times in the first quarter, man. Like, there's no reason not to. You have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to take some stabs with him at captain. And probably some builds with just him and Derrick Henry and then whatever Chiefs I can get.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with Lamar is and Derrick Henry is these guys, they get in the red zone. Who's going to steal the touchdown from the other? You know what I mean? Like if you're playing Derrick Henry and you're expecting those goal line rushes, it's not a guarantee. We might see these RPOs with Lamar. I mean, just imagine being on the 1 yard line, seeing Derrick Henry back there in shotgun with Lamar Jackson and trying to figure out how the hell to stop that. It's going to be crazy. All right, let's move on to running back. Let's start with the Chiefs. And just to mention, here in SaberSim, running, 5,000 lineups and using, even with the ownership that Patrick Mahomes is bringing in at captain, running the contest sims for my contests, I'm still getting I'm still getting over the field on Patrick Mahomes at captain. So it grades out well. It's a good play. I'm just thinking ownership wise, what kind of lever can I pull to instantly just make my lineups a little bit different? And yeah, I'm betting against Patrick Mahomes having, a massive game, but maybe he doesn't need to have a massive game. Maybe Pacheco steps up. That's just my thoughts behind that. All right, let's talk about Pacheco. He's 8,400, projecting well. He tore it up last year, especially at the end of the year. I feel like his ownership, he's projected right around 40%. I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like he might get overlooked on this slate at 8,400 with all these other dudes that we need to fit in. Like try getting both quarterbacks, Travis Kelce and Pacheco, or Derrick Henry and Pacheco in a lineup together. You're very limited. You got to really pay down at captain. I feel like Pacheco could come in a little bit under owned. And he tore, he I wouldn't say tore him up, but he did pretty well, last year in that game. I actually don't even know the stats on that, but I'm pretty sure he had a touchdown. He looked good in the playoffs, and he looked good against the Ravens. So I don't see any reason why to avoid Pacheco. I mean, we're looking at who's actually backing him up, and this is the more interesting part of this. Is Samaje Perine was just signed, less than a few days ago. He just got added to the slate a few days ago. He's $3K. Is he in the McKinnon role? Is he in the third down role? Is he in that kind of goal line shotgun, gadget play role? I don't know yet. I know it's a little bit easier for a running back just to kind of get plugged into a system. But he hasn't even been here for a week. So is it going to take him a few weeks to get into that role with CEH out? Now, a guy like Carson Steele at 200, we saw him in the preseason. He looked good. Dude, he's $200. Can we take advantage of the fact that there's a question mark at the number 2 spot here for the Chiefs? And I'm not saying that Carson Steele needs to come out and run for 100 yards. If he gets 3 receptions, maybe 40 total yards, and falls in the end zone, you are going to be living well. And even if he doesn't fall in the end zone, getting him at $200 and being able to jam in all those other expensive dudes, especially get an expensive dude at captain, it's really appealing to me. Now, he's projected maybe around 5%. I think that probably goes up just because he's such a good value, and his projections, I know he's only getting a 2-point projection right now, but it seems like to me that his ownership is going to go up. I like him. How much do I like him? Yeah, maybe I'm at, if I think his ownership is going to be 10%, maybe I'm at 15%. Maybe I'm at 20%. It's not going to be anything massive. I'm not locking this dude in, but he is a very interesting play at $200. So what are we thinking here with Perine versus Steele? And I feel like Pacheco could be a pretty interesting captain option at reasonable ownership. I just don't see him being massively owned.
Yeah, I agree with you on Pacheco. I don't know about his general longevity or what I don't know. He's going to be an all-pro running back, but I think he's fine in situations. And it's early in the season. We know what the Chiefs are. I think they know what they are too. There's no pressure on them to come out and throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, right? If Patrick Mahomes has 120 yards, a touchdown, and they win this game 11-9, they don't give a shit. Hey, see, I caught myself. They don't care. I definitely think that Pacheco is going to have some up volume. And the Perine Steele thing, that's the thing that I think is going to be really interesting. I think I'm going to go with a little bit of Carson Steele over Perine. I'm not going to do both in the same lineup, so just say that. I guess that's kind of just common sense. But look, I think Perine's kind of the flashy name just because everybody knows that he just signed. It's very likely that he ends up with the DMP, right? Unless it's like past situations they needed him specifically for some sort of special teams play. I don't know that Andy Reid's offense is one you kind of just pick up in 4 days, but I don't know. We also saw Baker Mayfield do it with LA. So maybe Samaje Perine's a savant. Savante Perine. All right. Anyways, so Carson Steele, man, $200. I don't know how you come off of him. 5-10%. That's fine for me. Especially if he's really only going to be, around 3 or 4% owned. It's not costing me anything to get over the field.
And there were some interesting rumors that came out about, the Chiefs pursuing Josh Jacobs, and which is interesting. I don't know why they would do that. Isaiah Pacheco, he looks to be the guy. It's just kind of interesting. I don't think that has any effect on anything, but it was just worth mentioning. That would have been sick if they would have got Josh Jacobs. That would have been insane.
Yeah, it would have.
All right, let's go to the other side of the ball here. So, all right, King Henry, this is a perfect fit. I feel like this should have happened years ago. Derrick Henry on the Ravens. Man, how many? Do you think he gets over 20 carries in this game? I think it's possible.
I don't see how you don't. Lamar just won an MVP too. So again, these are 2 quarterbacks. I don't think they need to show off who they are in any capacity. I'm just really curious to see what we're going to do with this Ravens run game, man. think Derrick Henry gets 20 carries. I think Lamar gets 10. I honestly think they're going to throw the ball like 15 times. It's going to look like one of Greg Roman's like prime games. I don't think that's what the offense is going to look like, but like I think they want to come out and just establish the fact that they're going to give King Henry the ball, and then they're going to Michael Vick, Jesus, Lamar Jackson off of him, off of him. So you know what I mean? Like I really think that this is gonna be a fun one for Derrick Henry, and he's 9K, bro. Like I'm like, why not? Like we've seen him just completely decimate grown ass men up the field, running at like 12 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like he's just chugging along, just throwing people down. Like there's nothing you can do about it. It's Kansas City. Like I hope they've done a little bit to improve their defense, but they are susceptible to one thing. It's been the run in the past. So I'm excited for it. And I know it's a bit of a rant, but I like Derrick Henry.
Justice Hill at 4,400 is really interesting. For whatever reason, he gets a lot of run. And Derrick Henry's 30 years old. So, and especially in this game, if the Ravens are losing, they're probably gonna have a lot of Justice Hill in the game. He's $4,400. He's probably not gonna pop just because that price tag's a little bit high and his projection's not great. But dude, he's the kind of guy that can get you 4 or 5 receptions out of the backfield and maybe get a random ass goal line opportunity. And 4,400, I'm pretty interested in him. Not really interested in anybody else here. Before we move on, I think Justice Hill feels like he's going to be 10% or owned or lower, and that feels weird, man. Like 4,400, 10%. I'm interested in him.
Yeah, man. I don't mind them either, especially in large field GPPs. This is the opening weekend contest, right? The opening night contest. There's going to be some really large field contests. You got to be willing to get guys that you may not normally play on a regular size field. So, Justice Hill will probably get overlooked a little bit. I mean, everyone's going to say, "Hey, cool, we can almost play Justin Tucker," right? So,
yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to wide receivers here. So this is not the sexiest wide receiver room, but you got Zay Flowers, 8K. Coming into his second year, had that heartbreaking fumble there that pretty much changed that entire game in that AFC Championship game. He's good, man. He's another one of these guys that I feel like in the captain spot, we have to target a guy like Zay Flowers. L'Jarius Sneed is gone from the Chiefs. They still got some heavy hitters there, McDuffie. But Zay Flowers is one of these guys at 8K. I'm going to be interested in getting in the captain spot. Rashad Bateman, 5,200. He has been one of these guys, last year coming into the season, he was supposedly going to be that number 1 or number 2 guy. He just has not really done that. I don't, he's projected for like around 7 fantasy points. I think there's like 3 games that he actually got over 7 fantasy points last year. I'm just not super interested in him. If he was 3,200 or something, maybe. But the fact that he's number 2 on the depth chart, I guess they felt they needed to price him up to 5,200. I'm not super interested in a guy like Rashad Bateman. And of course, as I say that, he'll probably score. A guy I am kind of interested in here is Nelson Aguilar. We're going to need to find these 3K guys, these 4K guys, and we're going to need to mix them in. A guy like Aguilar, I think he had 5 touchdowns last year. We all joke about the fact that he can't catch. He can catch every once in a while. All you need to do is have him catch 1 ball in the end zone, and you're feeling pretty good about 3,400. The only other guy here is Deontay Hardy at 800. We know his abilities in the return game, and just talking about this is the first real game where we're going to see this new kickoff. So what kind of tricks do people have under their sleeves? Are they just going to literally just kick it out of the end zone and say, screw it, take it at the 30? Who knows? I don't know. But a guy like Deontay Hardy at 800, it's risky, but maybe get a handful of lineups. He's going to be 3% owned. So what are we thinking here about these wide receivers for the Ravens? Zay Flowers, no question about it. Obviously a good play. Who else are you thinking here? Because we're going to have to mix some of these other dudes in.
I'm a homer for Rashad Bateman. I'll still keep playing him, and I'll let you know how it comes out next week. I think the guy that I'm kind of interested in here for value is Nelson Aguilar. Um, I mean, like, think about it. If I'm the Chiefs' defensive coordinator, right? I got to make one person on the team beat me. It's going to be Nelson Aguilar. I'll have Zay Flowers. He's going to have my best corner. Rashad Bateman, my second best, whatever. But everything else is going to be stopping Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, right? So I think that leaves a little bit of susceptibility to what Nelson Aguilar is supposedly good at, right? And we've seen him catch a couple passes over the past year and a half or so. So maybe that ship's starting to correct. So again, you don't need to get too crazy. He's not going to be the highest owned guy in the slate by any means. So, but I am a little bit interested in him. Outside of that, I don't know that I'm getting too crazy with any of the wide receivers here. I think you take a couple stabs at captain with Zay Flowers, work him into your flex for those pass game game scripts that you have. But outside of that, really Lamar and Derrick Henry are going to be kind of the focuses from the Ravens side, I think.
All right, let's go to KC here. So we got Rashee Rice, 7,600. That feels like a insanely low price for him. I feel like this guy is going to fall out of bed and get you 15 fantasy points. 7,600, a lot of captain. Like there's not a lot of guys in the slate that I hate. I mean, Sky Moore is one of them for sure. But just being week one, I'm going to spread myself out a lot, and that's going to involve a lot of Rashee Rice in the captain and in the flex. 7,600, no Hollywood Brown. Xavier Worthy's 5,800. We've talked about him a lot. Obviously a pretty good play. He's coming in at about 21% ownership. As of right now in the flex, that feels low considering his upside. Good old Justin Watson at 3,200. Are we going to have to play Justin Watson again? I mean, I'm probably going to get to some of him. He's going to be 5% owned. We know about Justin Watson, all right? We've talked about him a lot. Sky Moore, I'm not playing any Sky Moore. I'm just not doing it. Mecole Hardman, I am kind of interested in at 1,800. We know that he'll fumble every once in a while. We know that he'll mess up, but he has been kind of involved near the goal line, and he's a return man. So same thing I mentioned with the other guy. Juju Smith-Schuster is 1K. We talked about him a little bit already. I don't know what his role is, but he's a veteran wide receiver coming into this room. He had success a few years ago. He didn't do amazing, but he still had almost 1,000 yards in 2022 with the Chiefs. They brought him back for a reason. What's his role going to be? I don't know, but $1,000 projected for 3 fantasy points. I think he can do better than that. I am interested in Juju Smith-Schuster. He's projecting around 10% in the flex right now. I'm not interested in obviously in any captain for him, but like getting him in the flex and getting 10 points out of him would be huge at that price tag, even a little bit lower than that. So what are we doing here with these wide receivers, man? Like obviously Rashee Rice, I'm going to have a ton of Rashee Rice. I'm going to have a decent amount of Xavier Worthy, but from there it's a little gray. And I think a lot of these are just large field tournament plays minus maybe a little bit of Juju Smith-Schuster. What are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have too much to disagree with. I think they're all priced kind of reasonably because nobody's 100% certain what's going to be the primary piece of an Andy Reid offense, right? I mean, we've come in every year thinking it was going to be a different wide receiver. Sky Moore a couple years ago. Last year, it was Rashee Rice, and I mean, he had a couple good games towards the end of the year in the playoffs. This year, it's supposed to be Xavier Worthy. I went on a whole rant at some point in the show for that, so I'm not going to get into that again. But I do think Xavier Worthy is fine. But look, man, as long as I'm going to simplify it this way, as long as Patrick Mahomes is the guy throwing the football, like if the guy is going to line up out there on the field, like he has an opportunity to catch a touchdown. We've seen offensive linemen catch touchdowns in their offense, defensive tackles, right? It doesn't matter. Like you're out there, you're going to eat when it comes to the Chiefs offense. So, look, I think especially in large field GPPs where you just have to have the balls to be able to play guys that you're not that may end up with zeros, right? Sky Moore included. Like he's one of those guys that just has a lead upside. If he gets loose for one play and it's a 70-yard touchdown, he's 3% owned. Right, like that's just so significant in his price that you're not going to be able to overcome it, especially in one of the 150 maxes, showdown slates. Right, that immediately is going to be 3% of a 150,000 entry field is a lot of players. So that's just stuff to keep in mind when you're building down here. And same thing goes with Juju at $1,000. Like, sure, why not, man? I've seen him have 200 yards almost, right? Like, it's not that long ago that he was dominating the NFL. So he still got some of that in him, right? He has to.
Enough to get 10 fantasy points, probably. All right, let's move.
Hey, if Andy Reid's going to fuck with him, man, I will too. Damn it. See, I broke it. All right.
Hey, we're about 30 minutes into the show. It's pretty good. All right, so tight ends. All right, so Travis Kelce, going into the end of the year, all right, this guy's washed. And then, of course, he steps up when they needed him the most. In this Ravens matchup, the big talking point last year in the AFC Championship was Kyle Hamilton. They're gonna shut this guy down, and he absolutely dominated. What do you have? Like almost 100 yards in the first half. He dominated that game. 9,600. I'm not going to tell you to not play Travis Kelce. He's going to be around 30% owned. But he's probably going to be one of these guys that's going to be maybe lower owned than he should be because there's so many other options in that range as far as price goes. So before we talk about anything else here, what is your approach on Kelce? I feel like this is always like for Chiefs, this lately before, as he started to slow down maybe a little bit before the playoffs hit, that was always our conversation is, do we play Travis Kelce a lot? Do we go under the field? This is a fade opportunity. If he just comes out and has, just an average game, he's not going to pay that off. What are we doing here, man? Like, I still think the Ravens can shut him down, and maybe he is just used in other ways to open up the field a little bit more for everybody else. What are we doing with Kelce?
Look, man, I'm playing him. I think that any extra focus on Travis Kelce is really going to kind of just open it up for the speedy weapons that Kansas City has. And again, it's the first game of the season. I think Baltimore's going to do their best to keep everything in front of them. And that really is just a game script that benefits Travis Kelce, right? Keep it in front of the safeties and just behind the linebackers. I hope you don't kill him, 31 years old, and deal with the Swifties. But look, I think he's fine at 9,600 again. Like, he's priced nice enough that he's not too expensive if he doesn't quite get there. But at 30% ownership, like if he gets 15 points, that is going to be pretty significant in the flex, I think.
So Noah Gray, 1,600, whatever. Get 2% of him, whatever. Jared Wiley at 200. I don't think Peyton Hendershot will be active. Maybe he will be. I don't think he's a guy that I'm going to be considering at this point. But he is, with the Cowboys, he didn't have a ton of success, and then he got injured. And he got released and then just signed, 2 weeks ago, maybe more. He's a pass catching guy. If he's on the field, he's running routes, and he's gonna be involved. This is a $200 guy that I'm spending a lot of time talking about, but I'm not gonna play him this week. Probably, I say that now, but he's one of these guys that I'm always trying to get in on these showdown slates when he's $200. Anyways, keep an eye on who's active here. Probably not going to be Peyton Hendershot. But no reason to really get to too much Noah Gray. I'm not super excited about any of that, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think you need anybody else from this list. Travis Kelce, that's it for me.
All right, Mark Andrews is freaking $6,400, dude. I mean, he did not have a good game against them last year, but so he's $6,400. Isaiah Likely, 2,600. So this is kind of interesting here. I mean, we all saw what Isaiah Likely did late in the year when Mark Andrews went down. Mark Andrews did come back, but Likely, what did you have, like 5 touchdowns in, after week 14 or something like that? So, obviously, with Mark Andrews not being on the injury report, he seems to be fully healthy. He's going to be out in the field a lot, and we forget how dominant Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson are when they're together. It's been some time since we've seen that, and we have short memories. He's $6,400. Dude, I'm probably gonna lose a lot of money playing him, but I'm gonna take the risk. He's a good price. Putting him at captain really allows you to open up your flex and get to a lot of dudes and not have to punt. Any interest in Isaiah Likely? And what's your, how interested are you in Mark Andrews? I already know the answer to this because you freaking love that guy.
Yeah, man, dude. The only reason Professor X or whatever his name is, Xavier Worthy, isn't my favorite captain choice tonight. I spoiled it, but it's because you got Mark Andrews 6,400, right? That's just a dumbass price. I don't know that we're going to get much more 6,400 Mark Andrews, especially in a healthy offense. Again, right? Like Derrick Henry kind of benefits everybody. Yeah, you may not necessarily have the greatest stats on a week to week basis, but you're gonna have games where you just dominate because like what are you supposed to do? You can't cover everything. But anyway, 6,400, yeah, just whatever. Close your eyes, play him at the flex, get a shitload of him at captain. That's probably where I may have 25-35% of him at captain, man. That's an insane price. He has 2 touchdowns, even 1 touchdown, 100 yards, 6,400. That's pretty significant.
Are you getting to
Oh yeah,
any Isaiah Likely at all? Like I know you like Isaiah Likely. I don't know how much he sees the field, but we know when he's on the field, he's a tight end one type dude.
yeah. I actually think he's fine to get into a little bit as well. I mean, again, just with the advent of Derrick Henry, we could see a lot of 2 tight end sets, right? And why not run play action and have 2 elite pass catching tight ends running off of the play action play, right? I don't even know how to say it. I need to go play some more Madden and get the lingo again. But I think they're fine, bro. You get a little bit of Isaiah Likely. Don't get crazy. You need maybe 5-10%. And if you're going to do it, I think you're okay to get him with Mark Andrews too. Like they could each. Mark Andrews is cheap enough that they could each get there.
And with the quality of depth at wide receiver on this team, you'd think they'd try to get Isaiah Likely on the field more with Mark Andrews. I mean, you'd think so. He's not this prototypical blocking type tight end that Mark Andrews is, as well as a very good pass catcher. You'd figure that Isaiah Likely would see the field a little bit more, even with Mark Andrews. Who knows? All right, let's get into defense and kickers. So I really, it's not sexy, and I don't know how many people are going to do it, but I will have my game scripts where I focus a little bit more on hitting the unders. A defense and a kicker. I'm probably not doing 2 kickers. I'm not going that crazy, but getting to some of these defenses, getting to Ravens defenses, who's going to be under 10% in the flex, and probably 1 or 2% in the captain. I don't think I'm going to get to much captain defense. But let's just talk about being a little bit different here. Everybody and their brother is going to want to play, both quarterbacks, get one of these top end dudes at captain. And I think you could still do that. But I think we might be overlooking the defenses a little bit on this game, considering it's week 1. What are we doing with these kickers here, man? Justin Tucker's 5K, Harrison Butker's 46. We got Ravens defense 4K and Chiefs defense 36. What do you think?
Yeah, I think just the rule will just be the soundbite for the kickers. I think 1 is fine. Probably don't need 2, especially on a slate like this. Other than that, I think both defenses are also in play. A similar thing. 1, probably don't need 2. I do think both teams are a little bit more conservative. They decide to run the ball a little bit more. Remember, they got 17 games after this, so no reason to put your 2 of the greatest quarterbacks we'll ever watch play football through the ringer, the first night of the season. So I do think both defenses will get involved. And the other part to remember is it's special teams too. Again, it is the first game. You just made a bunch of cuts. There's a lot of people that are getting their first real NFL action in the game too. It only takes 1 fumble to completely switch field position, right? So stuff like that does matter. And, especially the Chiefs at 3,600. Right, Lamar and Derrick Henry miss 1 handoff in the RPO just from rust or whatever. Like it's scoop and score. So that kind of stuff is worth mentioning, especially in the large field tournaments, the 150 max.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Justin Tucker has the ability to put up 15 plus fantasy points pretty easily with just a couple kicks. So he's probably picking up 20% ownership ish. Harrison Butker maybe 25. I'm probably going to be with the field on that. I'm not going to go too heavy over. I'm not going to fade the kickers like I will on some slates. I'm going to be with the field. All right, let's get into our captain build here. This is our crown their ass segment.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going Mandrews. I'm going Xavier Worthy. Now, when we say crown their ass, this is our favorite tournament favorite tournament captain option. Doesn't mean I'm going to have 80% Xavier Worthy. You know, if he's coming in, what did we say he was coming in at captain? Let's see.
I think 4%.
Yeah, 4%. I mean, I don't think that's going to hold. I think it's going to be higher, but maybe I'm getting 15% captain or 20% captain. But it just feels like a good opportunity at that price to be able to fit in some expensive dudes into flex, and you have that big play upside. It's a mystery. I understand why he's so low owned, but his upside is very up. We don't really need to talk about Mark Andrews much because we just did. But what kind of is going to go into your thought process when you're building Mark Andrews captain lineups? It feels like he's going to be low owned, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. His price is low owned, or I'm sorry, his price is lower. Obviously, you're going to want to stick Lamar Jackson in there with him. What are your thoughts on maybe roster construction with Andrews captain?
I think that's probably some of the more obvious, but I think you can also get a little bit unique. Maybe go Mark Andrews captain, Derrick Henry, and kind of fade the Lamar Jackson even, right? Maybe go Patrick Mahomes and build from there. I think you can get a little bit more creative just because of the salary savings that he gives you at the captain spot. And again, like I just don't see why he's so low owned, right? If he's only going to be 5%, that 5% is going to be the optimal 5% of lineups that you can put Mark Andrews at. Besides guys like Asimo, that they're putting some crazy stuff in there with these. But that's probably going to be my strategy. Get a little bit different, but I'm going to be so far over the field that I'll have so many different variations of Mark Andrews lineups, man.
All right, we have a new segment this season. This is the Steve Keim coked out play of the night. Hit the sound.
No other than Steve Keim. I'm like, come on, bro.
All right, so what does this mean? What this is our low owned flyer. What do we? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, this is somebody that you probably shouldn't be drafting in the first round, or you're trading away your second round pick for a linebacker. Anyways, yeah, it's absolutely that. It's a guy that you probably shouldn't be playing that we are, just for the hell of it. So I don't know. And it's crazy because the one that matches, I think, is I thought Carson Steele was going to be a little bit higher projected when it came to his ownership, just because of the. Like, not to be weird about it, but for whatever reason, people love their white boy weirdo running backs. You know, like it's just a thing. People get hyped about it, and I thought he would be at least at 10% just because of that one game.
Yeah.
But no, he's the guy that you probably shouldn't play. But I think we'll end up with a touchdown or at least some dumb shit happening.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That was my pick too. When you look at Carson Steele, he looks like a coked out play of the night. I mean, he really does. All right, let's move on to lineup builds. So let me pull up Draftkings here. We're going to hand build a couple of lineups. Jump over into that. All right, so, and by the way, guys, throw us a like. Let's get to 50 likes for this video. And go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be doing Thursday night and Monday night shows. We're going to skip the Sunday night shows because it's very difficult to record for that with all the massive amounts of lineups we're playing on Sundays. So we're going to do Thursday night, Thursday night, Monday night, and then, as we get later in the season, we have some of those 2 and 3 game like Saturday slates that we'll do as well. All right. So let's talk about a single entry-ish kind of cash build, right? Let's just try to get like the best lineup we can get and not worry about ownership, not worry about any of that. Let's just try to build that. So I think that, and actually, if you are thinking about ownership, Patrick Mahomes is probably that guy to start with if we're doing this. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, the price difference at captain is just so massive between him and Lamar. I think that's the route we have to take, and then we got to put Lamar in the flex. Now this is where it gets sticky. Do we go Kelsey? We're not going to get a lot of opportunities. We're going to have to do something weird here. And as we get closer here, I'm going to try to build a better one as we get closer, but let's try to build as best one we can here. Are we going Kelsey, Henry, Pacheco? Are we getting Rashee Rice in here right away? I think that's probably the way to go at 7,600.
Yeah, I think it's Rashee, and let's try Derrick Henry if we can. I don't know if we're going to be able to.
I don't think we are. It's
All right,
3,200. This is another reason why I don't know that I'm going to get to a ton of quarterback at captain minus some Lamar lineups. Is this a? I mean, Mark Andrews is 6,400.
Yeah, I guess. Throw him in.
We're just kind of in the middle here. I mean, I feel like you got to get a kicker next, maybe. Is this Butker, or do we go a little bit lower with Butker here at 4,600? Or do you just want to get Tucker?
Let's see what we have left.
All right, we got 4,400. So we get this all sucks. So what if we threw in like a punt on this single entry in order for us to get that high floor? What if we just put Carson Steele in here and just take the 0?
I'm fine with that.
Let's see if I can find him. He's so damn low. There he is. Obviously, this is probably not a good play, but let's just see what the roster looks like when we have a $200 guy in here. So that probably opens up the ability to get a Kelsey, Henry, or Pacheco, or Flowers, or Rice, maybe 2 of those guys probably.
Let's start with Rice.
All right, let's start with Rice. So we've got one. We just have Lamar Jackson. Do we want to pair him? Do we want to kind of cover our bases with all the run game here in what should be a pretty heavy run attack? Do we want to go after Derrick Henry and leave Kelsey out of this?
Yeah, let's start with Derrick Henry and see what we got left.
It's just crazy. We got Kelsey, Pacheco, and Flowers just sitting there, looking in. This is tough. 6,200. We have options. This is probably, Xavier Worthy. It's probably safer to go down to a kicker like Justin Tucker at this point. But this is tough. It's tough building with Mahomes. You want to try somebody else? You want to try Rashee Rice at captain?
Well, hold on. Pull out Steele, Rice, and Henry. Put in Pacheco and Worthy real quick.
Okay. 4,400.
4,400. You want to throw in Mandrews, and then what does that give us left?
2,400.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like this for cash, but I guess if you want to throw in,
let's try a single entry with Rashee Rice. All right, so let's get Lamar, let's get Mahomes. Where do we want to go here? Do you want to get, since we got Rice at captain, do you want to maybe either go Henry or Flowers or Pacheco?
Yeah, let's go Henry.
Okay, so we're still at 3,900. It's still difficult. There's a P. Ryan situation. I'm not playing Nelson Aguilar in a single entry. This is tough. I don't like this. I'm gonna let SaberSim figure this out for me because I don't like hand building this.
Yeah, I think you're right. You really just pull out Derrick Henry, I guess, go down to Mark Andrews and see what we can do next. The problem is everybody else is going to have these same restrictions. So if they are hand building, they're going to be getting similar issues,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something we'll work on. Jump in the Discord. We'll try to post some better options here, but this just feels like you got to make some tough decisions, and I'm going to play as many lineups as humanly possible for this slate and for Sunday. So I'm going to spread myself out a lot, and I'm going to let SaberSim do its thing. I'm going to have some input. I'm going to cap some guys, but I'm mainly for week 1. I'm going to let SaberSim do its thing. All right, let's build some GPP lineups here. This is where we can get a little bit more fun with things. Do you want to do a Xavier Worthy one right off the top?
Let's do it.
All right, so Xavier Worthy. Let's put Mahomes in there in the flex. All right, so do we want to play with any lineups where we fade Lamar, or should we just start with Lamar in this one and see how we can do this?
No, everybody's going to do it. Go ahead and let's do Mandrews and Derrick Henry. Let's see if we can do that. Build around that.
Okay.
everybody's going to build with Lamar and Patrick Mahomes in their own lineups. They can figure that out on their own.
Yeah. All right, 7,700. We're in a pretty good spot here. So we could punt a little bit. We can go down to like a Juju. Like we can go to a Justice Hill. We can go to a Samaje Perine. We can go to a lot of these guys. Nelson Aguilar. Do we want to find our value first and kind of see where that puts us?
Let's. I kind of like Pacheco for this lineup too. Let's throw him in and see if what will we have left. Oh, okay.
7,100. I guess we don't even need to. So that does leave a lot of money on the table here. Can't quite get to Rashi. So you're stuck with leaving a lot of money on the table and probably going down to one of the kickers, or just going all the way down to Justice Hill, which I don't know if I like that without Lamar. Can we pick somebody a little bit cheaper? What if we went, well, I don't know that I love... Maybe we can't go Flowers here either. Let's just put Rice in. Does that get us anything? No, it doesn't get us anything.
I guess we gotta go Lamar. Either that or we don't play Lamar.
Let's pull.
But we still have. What did you say? We had 4,100 still.
I forgot. I've already moved on. Sorry. 6,500 per player for 2 spots. We've got Worthy. I mean, this is. A lot of lineups are going to start out this way, with Worthy at captain. Let's just try to build one. Let's try to build one successful lineup that we like here. 6,500. Do you want to go? You want to go low? You want to get our value in?
Sure.
Is that Juju or is that who is that? Perine? Juju?
Yeah, it's either Perine or Steele for me. I think we need one of the. Running backs.
Let's get Steele. Let's just put him in and see what happens. We don't even need to put him in. Never mind. Let's get Juju. Wow. All right, we got a lot of money on the table there. So let's pull Mark Andrews out and put somebody else in.
Put in Derrick Henry.
Almost get to Kelsey, but you can go Pacheco. There's a lot of options here. This is we got to get one. We got to get one build. Let's do a Mark Andrews build and see if that feels better.
All right, let's try a Lamar fade again. Let's do Mandrews, Derrick Henry, Patrick Mahomes, and then Pacheco.
Sorry, I'm looking for Mark Andrews. There he is. Mahomes. Who else?
Lamar. Oh no, not Lamar. Derrick Henry.
Okay. 7K.
Go Pacheco.
Spots. Pacheco.
Can you get Worthy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely get Worthy. 68. Leaves us with a kicker probably.
Yeah. Throw in Tucker. Cool. But I'll run both those.
Andrews, Mahomes, Henry, Pacheco, Worthy, Tucker. Let's try to get Lamar in the flex. All right, so we've got Mark Andrews, and everybody in the world that puts Mark Andrews at captain is going to start with Mahomes and Lamar. So let's try to get different. Let's take advantage of some low ownership, some interesting builds. We could go. I mean, dude, we still haven't even built a lineup with Kelsey or Flowers. But let's try to get an interesting double running back situation. Like, you throw a defense in here. Can we do like a Henry, Justice Hill? Can we? How can we get different with this massively chalky build?
I think maybe let's throw in the Chiefs defense. I actually don't hate them for a bit of a value play. It is a bit risky, but one scoop and score, punt return for a touchdown, that really does make a difference. And with Mark Andrews at captain, I don't think many people are going to have the opposing defense in that lineup. And then can we go Rashi Rice? And what does that give us?
7,400. So you're in this weird zone that we keep running into where you can't quite get to Flowers, Hollywood Brown's out, and then you have all the backup quarterbacks, and then you got to go all the way down to Worthy. I feel like there's going to be some builds where we're going to leave a lot of money on the table. So I'm definitely not going to be. I'm going to open up the bottom end of my min salary for sure. But I mean, you can do whatever you want here. I feel like you probably. I mean, you could go Xavier Worthy here. You could go with the Bateman, or you could just get a kicker. So, do you want to do anything else, or do you feel like that's good? I think we've proved the point that hand building is not easy on this one because you got to make some interesting decisions. Once again, reiterating that I'm going to let SaberSim eat, and I'm just going to, kind of set what I'm feeling as far as min exposures on some captains. I'm going to eliminate my captain pool down a little bit. I think I have like almost 300 lineups, so I'm going to leave that player pool open a decent amount because I'm going to need to fill those lineups with different combinations. But I feel like if you're hand building, good luck. I salute you. You know, the brother Phils of the world, hand building. I wish you the best of luck, but I'm going to stick with clicking buttons and not worrying too much for this slate for week 1. What are you thinking, Ellie?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to rely on SaberSim. They've been doing a little bit more research than I've been able to do this off season. Hey, look, I'm just excited that football's back. I'm going to be able to open the windows a little bit. It's 100 degrees outside. Got that cold, crisp fall air. It's time, man. We get it. It's relaxing.
Yeah,
it's the best time of year, dude. I'm so stoked for football.
I love it, man. I love it. I said we'd make the show a little bit shorter, and I completely lied. Sorry about that, guys. We will see you for Monday Night Football. Throw us a like on the way out. We appreciate you guys. See you in the Discord.